Hey, good morning and Happy New Year to you. This is Mike Bowen, and the Rules at the Sea is now open. I hope you all are staying warm and dry. I know winter's been brutal in most of the U.S. right now. When I started out as a curriculum developer working for the Department of the Navy about 20 years ago, there was a schoolhouse management manual, several hundred pages thick, and covered everything under the sun that you needed to know and follow to do anything having to do with working in schoolhouse, from developing curriculum to certifying instructors to counseling students and whatever have you. And so it was a wonderful document that many of us hung on to old versions of it because it just held everything in one place. And we learned that as years went by, later versions that were developed that perhaps for ease of editing, where they would have entire sections dealing with an area, and it would refer you to another instruction, which made it more challenging for schoolhouse managers to ensure their staff abided by the instructions, because they would just look at that first document and say, well, there's nothing in there about this. I can do whatever I want. Like, not quite. So, kind of the same thing is starting to happen nowadays within triathlon, I think. But that's another story. So, here's my once upon a time. So, a guy with too long a ride and too short a supply of bottle holders on their bike. A little hot, and I need a little more hydration. So, where am I going to put the bottle? Well, let me just stuff an extra bottle up down the front of my tri-kit. Zip it down and put it down there and zip it back up. And so after they get done with their ride or their race, and they look back at the numbers, and they find that their overall speed, their power numbers were improved and everything like that, and they go, wow, this is pretty cool. After a while, you got some smart guys with wind tunnels that learn that shoving a bottle down the front of a tri-kit helps to push air off to either side of the body, and hence the aerodynamics. Next thing you know, all the cool kids are doing it. So then questions begin to get asked on forums like Slow Twitch, and then technical officials like myself start to harken back to the good old days, or at least we start looking back in our rule books and saying, good news is not much has changed even with the edits. All right. The bad news is that nothing has really changed in the USAT rule set. So if you look at Rule 2.2, it says that participant equipment which the head referee determines to be improper, including equipment that might provide an unfair advantage, can't be used. So now we'll move further forward into cycling and the cycling rules. So Rule 5.9. And it says that UCI, the International Cycling Union, time trial rules apply when you're talking about non-draft legal triathlon or duathlon. It talks about the fact that any equipment or devices that are carried during the bike segment or added to the bike are subject to approval by the head referee before the competition. Okay? Got to be securely mounted onto the bike, and it can't endanger the athlete or provide unfair advantage. All right? Once again, there's that unfair advantage thing going on, and you're talking about anything carried during the bike segment or added to the bike. All right? So now I look at the UCI rules, and this is Article 1.3.024, and you're talking time trial related stuff. So UCI's rules had to be seriously clarified this last year. They say bottles can only carry between 400 milliliters and 800 milliliters. Okay, for those of you playing the home game in America, 400 milliliters is just a little larger than a 12-ounce can of soda, right? 800 milliliters is probably about the size of a larger bike bottle, all right? First off, they say that. That's as far as the size. They say that you can't mount an empty bottle on your bike. You're going to have to carry fluid in it. Is that any hydration system carried by a rider, in other words, on your person, can hold no more than 500 milliliters of fluid. So that's let's say you go to a bar and you order a pint glass of beer, Imperial, one of those good pint glasses. That's about approximately 500 milliliters right there. Once again, a little larger than your 12-ounce can of soda. It's a little over 16 ounces. Okay, and it cannot be rigid. It has to be a flexible. Has to be like a bag. Okay, can't be rigid, because then if it's rigid, it holds a shape and the air can move around it. Okay, so it would possibly aid in improving aerodynamics. That's one. Two, the system can only be carried on the back of the rider. You can't wear it up front. All right. So, there's the rule. Okay. The good news, the bad news. Okay, there's good news, bad news on this one too. So, say that a technical official notices you on the bike course with a bottle shoved up the front of your kit, like that. Unauthorized equipment, that 5.9, Rule 5.9 on the cycling course, it is literally identified as a warn and amend penalty. What does that mean? That means athletes literally going to have to remove the bottle from the front of their body, put it someplace else. Okay, but you gotta fix the situation. If you don't fix the situation, you can be disqualified. Your bottom line on this situation is, even with this new rule book, take the time to really get deep into the reading there. Just because it isn't expressly prohibited in the rule book doesn't necessarily make it legal. Okay, when in doubt, go see the head referee. Once again, I know I'm making more confusion for you, and I hope that you'll take the time to look into those relevant rule sets and get down into what can and can't be done. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm on Facebook at www.facebook.com/USAT Rules Guide, or michael.s.bowen@gmail.com, or you can reach out through the USAT website to the head of officials there and get